Now, I'm not saying every week is going to be a good one, but last week, oh, it was a good one. Yo, Dave Loughlin here on Twitter at Loughy_D. Give your boy a follow if you haven't done so yet. And of course, if you appreciate this content, I appreciate all you guys for watching. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. What are your favorite spots this week? I've picked out like probably 6 or 7 spots I really love, but this is picks for every game. So we'll at least have analysis on every single one of them, even if there are spots that we don't intend on betting. And of course, guys, if you're not over on tails yet, look, I'm up front with you. This isn't going to happen every week, but when it does, we have to capitalize. We had a monster week. I mean, the A.J. Brown 100-yard ladder hit, the Monday Night Football plus 1350 hit. If you watch the Monday Night Football video right here on the Odd Shopper channel, hopefully you tailed that one and wrote it out with me. Ben Rasa and I hit 2 anytime touchdown parlays on Sunday alone, a 2-legger with Tyquan Thornton and Cam Scatterboo, and a 4-legger on the early slate of games. All of those picks and bets and slips and parlays were over on tails for free, and they will be free all season long. The link is down there, guys. Just take advantage of it. The reason we're doing this is because we're building out what we think is going to be an incredible platform, okay? And we want to give out as much free content as possible. That's why my picks are free all year long over on tails. There's no upsell when you get there. There's no credit card or anything. You just create a free account in 2 seconds. Follow me, follow whoever you want, and let's bet sports together. But yeah, coming off a huge week 3, made up for any weaknesses I may have had in weeks 1 and 2. Let's see if we can ride it out and not go 0-20 this week. Here we go. Picks for every game. Getting it started with, here we go, the Cardinals at home against the Seattle Seahawks. You know, I look at a game like this, and the Cardinals are 1.5-point favorites. I like the Seahawks here for a couple of reasons. One, the Cardinals are still dealing with casualties in the secondary. And you look at the way that they've won games this year. It's like one of them against the New Orleans Saints. Okay, great. You know, sure, you were 6-point favorites, you covered, but still. And then you see last week, they kept it competitive against San Francisco, but that San Francisco team is absolutely gutted by injuries, and we're going to talk about them in a little while as well. But overall, the Cardinals have not had a difficult matchup. They're 2-1 or scheduled. They're 2-1 going into this. Seattle Seahawks, on the other hand, tough spot in divisional game. Again, against San Francisco, they lost. Niners were healthier in that game. And then you go into Pittsburgh, you handle business, and then you mop up the New Orleans Saints. I just think they're a better overall team. I'll have a full Thursday video on this, so come back for any parlays, any spots we have, which we will have boosted parlays. Hopefully we hit another one. But for now, I'm going Seahawks plus 1.5 here. Yeah, they're on the road, but this is a better defense. I mean, this is a significantly better defense. I still am a big believer in Kenneth Walker. On the other hand, James Conner looks like he's done for the entirety of the season. Trey Benson's fine, but can he handle a full workload? I don't know. Marvin Harrison hasn't shown up, but you've got JSN on the other side, who's been one of the best receivers in football this year. So all in all, as a slight road dog, it is a divisional spot. I still do like the Seattle Seahawks a little bit here at plus 1.5. All right, let's go to Ireland. Yeah, 9:30 Eastern time, right? 9:30 Eastern here. Dublin, Ireland, Minnesota Vikings, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it wouldn't be at the Steelers. Maybe it's probably a Steelers home game, but it's not, right? There's no home game here. It's in Dublin. Early game on Sunday. This should be fun. We'll get to sweat some bets early. Maybe we're consuming content. Maybe I'm building out my daily fantasy lineups. Come check our DFS channel, by the way. But the Vikings are coming off a purely dominant ass kicking of the Bengals, okay? They appear to be getting some early love this week, and I suppose that makes sense. They get Darisaw back last week, which helps, but now they lost Donovan Jackson to their offensive line. Ryan Kelly's questionable with a concussion, and it boils down to this. Look, I'm not a believer in Carson Wentz. Maybe it's because I'm an Eagles fan, right? And I saw what happened to Carson Wentz after that ACL against the Seattle Seahawks, as a matter of fact. You saw last week, he didn't have to do much at all. Jordan Mason shouldered the bulk of the load on the ground. This will not be as easy. And before you mention the Steelers being banged up on defense, that's not lost on me. I get it, and this defense hasn't been nearly as good as you would have hoped coming into the season, but they can still get pressure on a quarterback. And Carson Wentz does not respond well to a lot of pressure. Plus, Mike Tomlin, he's been historically good as a short dog, whether he's at home or on the road. I think this one can move to 3, right? It's like Steelers -2.5 at -102 right now. I think it can move to 3. I'm going to wait on this one. We got plenty of time. And if it does, I'm pouncing the Steelers here at +3. Eagles at the Buccaneers. Eagles laying 3.5 on the road. I'm going to tell you guys something, okay? Todd Bowles' defense always gives Jalen Hurts and the Eagles fits. It's just true. Every time he plays the Eagles, the Bucs crushed them last year. That was lopsided, though, and kind of unfair. It's not an apples to apples because Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown were out. But still, the Eagles are coming off an insane come-from-behind win over the Rams where Jordan Davis, they scored 26 unanswered points. As an Eagles fan, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I understand that me being on that Eagles team, I bet the Eagles last week. I had a bet, and I had the wrong read there. There's no doubt. I had the wrong read. Everything just went well for me last week, and that's what happens. Sometimes everything goes wrong, and the run out, you're on the wrong side of it no matter what. Like in week 1, I probably would have been on the Rams in a game like this, but no. Sometimes, you guys know how it goes. Sometimes the stars just align. All your parlays hit like they did last week. You know, a lot of your single straight bets hit. It works. I was on the wrong side of that game. The Eagles had no business winning it, but 26 unanswered points. Jordan Davis blocked what would have been a game-winning field goal for the Rams. That was the second time they had a field goal blocked in the game. And Jordan Davis, by the way, hit almost 19 miles per hour. Can you believe that? Preposterously fast for a 300-pounder. I know he lost some weight, but still, that's insane. Anyway, typical spot where I just think Philly could struggle. And if we're getting the Bucs outside of a field goal at home, I'll take it. Now, to be fair, it's not lost on me that the Bucs have won every game on the final drive. You know, credit to Baker Mayfield. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan, but also, you know, tough. And of course, the Jets did return a blocked field goal for a touchdown, but you get my point. Like against Houston, against Atlanta, against the Jets, it's all in the final drive of the game. Throughout 59 minutes, they haven't been that good offensively, but Emeka Egbuka looks awesome. Chris Godwin's expected to return. Mike Evans is going to be out, but they're just capable of shutting the run game down with Vita Vea and these guys clogging it up. This should be a good one, but give me Bucs +3.5. And by the way, I already posted this one to Tails last night. What I do, if you're over there on Tails and you follow me, you already know. Like I said, link is right down there. It's free. All of the bets are free. And we're building an awesome platform, which, by the way, we have AI mapping now. So if I post a screenshot of a parlay, you just click tail and it loads that parlay straight into your bet slip without you actually having to do anything or find the bet yourself. But what I do is I watch Monday Night Football. I start working on these bets in this video, and I just start loading all the spots I like where I think the line is going to move straight into tails early. So they're in there before this video ever comes out. Give me Bucs +3.5. I'm going to take it. This has worked well for me in the past, betting against the Eagles in a spot like this, especially given that they're coming off a heart-pounding victory at home. Feels like a bit of a letdown spot. Saints at the Bills. Oh, my God. Bills -16.5 points at home. I'm not touching this. We laid the points on Seattle last week. There was no point in that game where it was even remotely competitive. And quite frankly, they would have covered this number, right? But still, it was 7.5, not 16.5. And I know the Bills are a better team than Seattle, and they're at home. I get it, right? The Saints are terrible. Even Kellen Moore cannot help Spencer Rattler and co. It's just not going to happen. But this is a number I don't want to touch. You know, if anything, because it's picks for every game, I would just lean Saints at +16.5. Like 3 possessions. That's what I'll make my pick, but I'm not betting this game. Full transparency. You guys know the games I'm betting. You know all the ones on tails. I've already bet them myself. Too many good games this week. I have no confidence in the Saints, but also laying 16.5 is just a huge number in a sport where weird things happen all the time. And traditionally, teams coming off a really bad blowout tend to keep things at least respectable in the upcoming game. So dominant team on the Bills, but I want nothing to do with this number. Chargers at the Giants. Chargers 6-point favorites against the Giants. You know, the thing about the Giants, I've been talking about this since week 1, is that they're not going to win this season no matter who they start at quarterback, right? Their schedule's impossibly hard. They're already in a 0-3 hole. So I understand why people wanted Brian Dable to keep starting Russell Wilson. Like, oh, it's a tough schedule. You got to do it. No, you don't. And they're not. I knew this was going to happen. Like, there's just no way they wouldn't start Jackson Dart. Are they doing it because Jackson Dart's going to take them to the playoffs and dig them out of an 0-3 hole and go up against this gauntlet of opponents over the next 12 weeks? No, obviously not. They're doing it because the fan base hasn't had a playoff win or one playoff win since 2011 when they won the Super Bowl. They need something to be excited about. You need a glimmer of hope here out there in East Rutherford, okay? And Russell Wilson's not it. You're going to lose with Russell Wilson, or you could develop your young first-round quarterback, and that's Jackson Dart. And they decided that they're going to start him. Another thing, you think Brian Daboll doesn't think his job is on the line? He was almost fired last year. You think he's going to completely have the fan base has already turned on him, but now turn on him even worse by continuing to start Russell Wilson? They need something, and this is it, okay? But here's the difference. It doesn't matter. So this game was, and I'm going to pull it up right now as a matter of fact because I forgot to update this. This was Chargers -6. Before the quarterback move, right? Because that happened today. I'm recording on Tuesday afternoon. It's probably the same. It's not going to move in favor of the Giants. Let's not be foolish here. There you go. -6.5. Moved a half a point with the news that Jackson Dart was starting. And the books were hedging a little bit there probably anyway, right? Because Daboll left the door open to Wilson not starting, but it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So I don't know. Look, the Giants, they're a bad team. I still don't love this game. I still have respect for the defensive line and to some extent their defense, honestly. I'd lean Chargers here. They're still inside of 7. They have an embarrassment of riches on offense, a defense that looks extremely stout through the first 3 weeks. I haven't bet this yet. I'm not sure I will. But Jackson Dart does not move the needle towards me betting the Giants at all, unless this goes to 7.5, in which case you could twist my arm. Right now, lean Chargers inside of 7. All right, let's get to a fun one. And tell me in the comments where you guys are at on this. For those of you who last year hammered me in the comments, and honestly, a lot of this was a good back and forth between us, and I appreciate the dialogue that hammered me for always going against the Detroit Lions, which, by the way, go play the tape back, my friends. That is not very true. And I think we ended up finishing with a winning record on Lions bets, betting on them or fading them. But they got the Browns at minus 8.5 points. You guys know I like the Browns, all right? I had some family and friends over for the Eagles game on Sunday, and my standard setup here, believe it or not, this is not one big TV, it's 2. But my standard setup is Eagles on one, throw red zone on the other. Any friends and family come over, they're sweating bets or, they have their fantasy teams. We can enjoy all of that together, but we're all diehard Eagles fans around here. Despite that, I found myself towards the end of the Eagles game glued on the Browns game because I wanted them to beat the Packers so bad, right? And we took the points with the Browns. That was a nice one. But they have a good defense. They do have a good defense, and that's what I'm getting at here. They have a good defense. They're the easiest team to root for in the AFC for me. Myles Garrett might be the best defensive player in the league still. Total game changer. As long as he's on the field, Cleveland can keep things competitive. Here's the thing, though. Their offense is a gigantic liability, and Joe Flacco is a statuesque quarterback with no mobility, right? Never did, and at this age, it's no better. He's not going to be able to evade this pressure. And Lamar Jackson, yesterday, if you guys watched that game, Lamar Jackson was taking pressure, right? And even he was struggling to get out of that. Not often you see him unable to escape that. 43% of his dropbacks, he was under pressure. Crazy, right? I mean, I don't know what to make of it outside of this. You have Flacco and you had Lamar Jackson. I don't see how the Lions don't wear this defense down eventually and end up grinding them into dust. You could say it's like, that's not even a good way to put it. This is a Lions team that has an insane amount of weapons, right? An insane amount of weapons. I just think with the Browns' inability to move the football offensively against a good defense that can bring pressure, and Aiden Hutchinson's a monster, I'm going to the Lions here. It's a lot of points. I typically don't like doing this. Lions minus 8.5 at home. Again, let me know down below. Are you buying into the Browns defense enough to where you'd take the points here? It is a lot of points. I think I got to lay the points. And I like the Browns at home. Next time they're at home, let's have a conversation. Commanders, 3-point favorites on the road against the Falcons. The big thing to watch here is if Jaden Daniels practices this week. He's day-to-day with the knee. Like I said, it's Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast. as I write this or as I wrote this and do this video now. If he ends up playing, this could move past 3, in which case I think I'd even be more interested in the Falcons. And you're saying, Loughy, how could you be interested in the Falcons? They just got their dicks kicked in against the Carolina Panthers 30-0. I get it, but I don't really care for a couple of reasons. Football's weird. And if you play the transitive property game where what happened last week means it has to happen again this week, you're going to lose a boatload of money betting the NFL. You guys know that, right? The 3 feels like a hedge by the books right now, and it's possible the Falcons become one of my favorite bets this week. I know it sounds crazy, but like last week, let's actually dissect this. 30-0 loss, abysmal performance, okay? The Falcons' offense was terrible. Penix Jr. was terrible. Nothing worked for them at all, and they couldn't get Bijan going enough to keep possession of the football. But the Panthers had 224 offensive yards and won 30-0. Not a little fishy to you? It's just a weird game from start to finish. So now Atlanta's coming off a 30-0 blowout loss. They're 3-point home dogs where Jaden Daniels may not play and you'd have Mariota, or he does, and he's probably not 100%. It just feels like the bounce back spot I like to bet. You're talking about a home dog, field goal dog coming off a horrible loss. They're a better team than they looked last week. I have a lot of confidence in that. Atlanta can finally get pressure on a quarterback after some big-time additions in the offseason and the draft, which is going to shore up the secondary so they're not getting bludgeoned because they can't get pressure on the quarterback. Give me Falcons +3. I'm going to wait on this one, though. I want to get some practice reports on Jaden Daniels and see where this line moves. Titans at the Texans. Texans -7 at home. All right, guys, you know what I have to do here, okay? Texans +7 or Titans +7. I have to. You know, you don't have to do anything, really. You personally don't have to do anything. There's a lot of games I like this week. Feel free to fade this one entirely or back the Texans for all it matters. But I've simply seen nothing from this Texans offense to suggest that they should be 7-point favorites against anyone right now, even the Titans. Don't get me wrong. Cam Ward in the Tennessee offense looks terrible, and Brian Callahan might be the worst coach in the league. But the Texans offense is completely broken. This offensive line simply cannot block for C.J. Stroud. They cannot protect him. Do you know through 3 weeks, he's completing 55% of his passes when he's pressured, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 8 times, and he's averaging under 200 passing yards per game. That's an untenable formula to win games. And the Titans defense has been hung out to dry a lot, but they're still good enough to make this a tough spot for Stroud, even in Houston. You can say the same for Ward against a very good Texans defense, but in a game with a 39-point total, I simply have to take the 7. Again, you don't have to do it. These picks are all free. They're free here. They're free on Tails. They're free on Twitter. You guys, free to do. That's the wonderful thing, right? We all have autonomy, but I'm going to do it. And like, I wouldn't be saying this if I hadn't seen, like, say I saw any redeeming qualities from this Houston offense. Sure, Nico Collins got going a bit last week. That was nice to see, but that was it. They have no run game. They can't block. The run game, they can't block. They can't protect the Stroud. They've scored 38 points through 3 games. Do you know that? 38 points. That's 13 less than the Tennessee Titans. So I have to do it. One of these days, backing the Titans as a big dog is going to pay off for us. Let's hope it's this week. And if it's not, I say we won't go back next week. I don't know who they play, but it's very possible we will. Let's move on. The Panthers at the Patriots. Patriots -5.5. This is a crazy one for you guys. By the way, get this on Bet365 and make sure you're over there. Did you bet the boost we had on the Monday slate yesterday in the video? We boosted it 50%. When I tell you guys to bet boosts, I can't stress it enough. When I'm always saying bet the boost, because it can take you from a losing season to a winning season. Think about that. We got a +900 parlay. We turned it to +1350. If you're $100 better, if they books allow it, most don't. You know, I'm limited on these offers, but still, $100 better. That's 100 to win 900 or 100 to win 1350. You're going to lose these parlays more than you win them. So when you do it, make sure you're boosting them. And Bet365 has a ton of them. You're also getting $200 in bonus bets when you sign up with the link in the description of this video. Tap it or click it, and deposit 10, bet 5, get $200 in bonus bets. It's that simple. And throw it on some parlays. Seriously, it's found money is what it is. 21 years or older to gamble. Gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. But yeah, dude, get there, collect the bonus bets, and take advantage of the boosts over everything. The boosts over everything else. All right. I kind of like the Patriots here. Tough loss last week, but they could have won that game. They should have won that game, and they could have won it quite easily. Again, kind of a situation where things just worked out for us because we were on the Steelers, right? Probably we should have lost that bet. But that's betting. That's football. This is what happened with these costly turnovers. I want you guys to listen to this because when I was going through it today to write it all down, it blew my mind. Ready? First drive of the game. Ramondre Stevenson lost fumble at New England's 38. Patriots' fourth drive. Drake May interception on 3rd and goal from the Steelers' 2. Patriots' fifth drive. Ramondre Stevenson fumble 2nd and 1 at the 2-yard line for the Steelers. Wasn't 2nd and goal, but it was 2nd and 1 at the Steelers' 2. Sixth drive. Antonio Gibson fumbles at the Steelers' 43. All of these are turnovers too, like they lost these. And then 8th drive, Drake May sack fumble at the Steelers' 33. Can you imagine? And they still only lost by 1 possession, 21-14. So they're a better team than they looked. And I cannot imagine that Mike Vrabel is going to go into this week and not figure some shit out for this team, right? He's not the type of guy that's going to let them turn the ball over multiple times in back-to-back weeks. By the way, pay close attention to the Trevion Henderson rushing props and receiving props. I think this could be his backfield to lose right now. So again, I'll post all of that on Tails for free. I won't have a video on it here, but it will be there the moment we get props. If it's something good, you best believe I'm betting that. If the books don't adjust to the fact that Stevenson and Gibson have real fumble issues and they have their whole career, and the fans are champing at the bit for Trevion Henderson to get in there, we are going to absolutely hammer that. But right now, considering Carolina's offense actually did nothing last week and still won 30-0, and Bryce Young did nothing, I'm going to go with the Patriots here. I know it's a lot of points, but their defense and the Panthers defense looked good last week. I won't take that away from them. Christian Gonzalez is probably still out for New England, but I still like the Patriots here. I think Vrabel fixes things this week. Patriots -5.5. Colts at the Rams. Rams laying 3.5. This is our fishy line of the week, and it's leading me to want to bet the Rams at home. Look, that process didn't work for us last week with the Titans as 3.5-point dogs. I get it. That line did smell bad. Don't get me wrong. But this is probably this feels like a time to jump off the Colts, if only for 1 week, because I like the Colts. We've been betting on the Colts, outside of last week. But LA looked so good against the Eagles. They did. They should have won that game. Had it not been for 2 blocked field goals, they leave Lincoln Financial Field with a win. They almost beat the Eagles in the playoffs last year as well, had it not been for that Jalen Carter sack. And that's a damn good Philly defense. Even with some turnover, it's a good defense. But when Kevin Patullo finally, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, finally pulled his head out of his own ass, for lack of a better term, and started throwing the football to, A.J. Brown? What a novel concept. Things started working for Philly. And considering the Rams were without Ahkello Witherspoon, they were undersized at quarterback, Brown just had his way with them. We laddered him up to 100 over on Tails. I actually selfishly laddered to 110. He finished with 109, but it's still a big win regardless. Point is, I don't see how the public doesn't pile on to the Colts at +3.5. They're the talk of the town right now. They're calling Daniel Jones Indiana Jones out there, They've looked like one of the best teams in football up until this point, and I get that, and I wouldn't even blame you. But this is a damn good Rams team, too. Give me the Rams -3.5. It's the fishy line of the week. Rams outside of a field goal, man. Jaguars at the 49ers. 49ers -3.5. Okay. The Niners might be cursed. Can we all agree? They might actually be cursed. I've seen bad luck, in my time watching the NFL. And as an Eagles fan, I've seen some seasons completely derailed due to injuries. But never have I seen it to the extent that San Francisco has suffered this year, last year, the year before. I mean, Brandon Ayuk is still out. George Kittle's on the IR. Juwan Jennings is hurt again. Brock Purdy and Mac Jones are both questionable this week, although I think Purdy will play. And now All-Pro Nick Bosa's done for the year with an ACL. Brutal, brutal stuff. Niners are miraculously 3-0 with wins over the Seahawks, the Saints, and the Cardinals. They've won 3 games by a total of 10 points. But I don't know how long it holds up, quite frankly, especially with Bosa out on defense. Even if they win this week, which wouldn't surprise me, Jags +3.5 makes enough sense for me to bet them, and I already did. They're just healthier. Their defense is good. They're not getting a ton of sacks, but they're generating a lot of pressure. Secondary looks better. Need to fix a bit on offense, but Liam Cohen's a pretty solid mastermind over there. And I think Brian Thomas is a lot better than we've seen through the first 3 weeks. Outside of a field goal, even on the road, I will take the Jags at +3.5 here. You guys with me there? Or are you going back to the Niners despite the injuries and despite all these crazy narrow victories? Let me know down below. Bears at the Raiders. All right, I like Ben Johnson. I like the post-game speech. By the way, the Bears are -1.5 in this game on the road, which is wild. I already put this one over in on Tails too last night. It may have moved. I liked Ben Johnson's speech. That was cool. With an easy win over Dallas, get him his first win. That's neat. But I'm not buying the Bears yet, and I'm not buying the Raiders either. But I don't think they should be a home dog. I just don't. Like, the Bears are equally suspect. Jalen Johnson's out for an extended period of time, a dominant player in the secondary. There's nothing convincing about their run defense. They still, I don't see it. They bolstered their offensive line, which helps. Williams didn't see much pressure at all last week, but he certainly did in week 1 against that Brian Flores defense. And Max Crosby and some of these Raiders defensive guys on the line can get some pressure as well. I don't know, man. Like, I posted this last night on Tails when I was watching Monday Night Football. It's since moved to -120. Raiders -120 at +1.5. At this point, I'd rather just take them. If you didn't bet it yet, if this is the first time you're seeing me this week, hello, by the way. Raiders money line at -108 on DraftKings is probably what I'd bet here. It's such an even spot that does home field advantage not mean anything? Even with Geno not playing great? I don't know. Ashton Genty may get going here as well. Raiders money line -108 on DraftKings. Packers at the Cowboys. Packers laying 7. The Browns defense is very good at home. We know that. We talked about it last week a lot. We talked about it in week 1. It was uncharacteristically bad performance from the Packers. Losing Jalen Reed doesn't help either. But that shouldn't take away from them being a great team. And the Cowboys, meanwhile, are going to be without CeeDee Lamb. They're already without a defense. They've been without one for the first 3 weeks of the season. They're horrible. I mean, even if Deron Bland returns this week, does it really matter? I don't like this game enough. I'll lean Packers -7. If it moves to 6.5, you could get me interested, but not at 7. Only reason I'm staying away right now, and maybe you guys don't agree with me, Dak Prescott is the type of guy, even without CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you still have George Pickens. Ferguson's looked good. Javante's looked pretty good, but it's a tough defense, that Green Bay defense. He's still someone that can single-handedly keep a game competitive, particularly at home. I'll lean Packers -7, but I haven't bet this game. Ravens -2.5 at the Chiefs. Oh, man. I know the Chiefs are coming off a comfortable win in New York. Does that mean anything? And the Ravens just got beaten prime time, and it looked bad at times. But I still got to go Baltimore here, right? Like, we got to go Baltimore, right? Right? The truth is, I think they're just a better team. I mean, Kansas City's offense looks totally neutered again. Even if Xavier Worthy returns, I'm not confident that's enough against high-powered offenses to keep up against teams like the Ravens. And the Chiefs' defense keeps them competitive, right? Trent McDuffie's one of the greatest. Patrick Mahomes on the other side is always going to make some plays, even if he doesn't have a ton of weapons. But it's just simply, guys, it's not the same Chiefs team. And even all last season, despite making the Super Bowl, did they ever really feel dominant? Ever? I don't think they did. The Ravens are coming off a brutal loss. Derrick Henry fumbled again, another costly fumble. They could easily be 3-0 right now, yet they're 1-2. Missing Nnamdi Madubuike is rough. Kyle Van Noy, that hurt them last night. But also, the Chiefs' offense has nowhere near the firepower that the Lions do, right, to really punish them like that. Travis Kelce appears to be a shell of his former self, and the run game in Kansas City is completely inoperable right now. Getting the Ravens inside of a field goal at -2.5, even on a shortened week playing on Monday, it's going to be my play. You guys on the Ravens, you on the Chiefs? You still buying the Chiefs? Let me know. Ravens -2.5. Jets at the Dolphins. Dolphins -2.5 here. Guys, I have a video every single Monday and Thursday morning specifically for those games. I say that for 2 reasons. One, I want you to watch it, and I think you will enjoy it very much. I think if you watched it yesterday, you would have enjoyed it. Smack the plus 1350, right? Doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, you do damn well we're going to celebrate. And 2, there's some spots where I would just rather wait. And in this case, it looks like this line may hit 3, right? If it does, I might bet the Jets. Both teams are currently congregating in the basement of the AFC East at 0-3. Both have major flaws. I'd assume Fields is back, but who knows? Tyrod Taylor's not a terrible backup anyway. Are they all that different? I don't know. Let's wait on this. I want to see what the weather in Miami looks like, too, as we get closer to Monday, because that's actually something in Miami that can have a significant impact on how a game plays out. Let's wait. Right now, lean Miami only because they're inside a field goal. And let's wrap it up Doubleheader on Monday night. Again, I'll have a Monday video for both of these games. Broncos -7 at home against the Bengals. I'm not sure what to make of the Broncos right now, but I have some ideas and I'm going to tell you about them. The Broncos are another team that could easily be 3-0 right now, right? Like easily be 3-0. They gave the game away in week 2 against the Colts, gave it away. And then they lost to the Chargers on a field goal at the end of regulation in another game they absolutely could have won. I worry that maybe this line is a slight overreaction to Jake Browning's performance and the Bengals getting steamrolled in Minnesota last week. But we liked Minnesota. We liked them at -3 for sure, not because of Wentz, but because of Brian Flores' defense and because of the pressure that you can get against a guy like Jake Browning who is going to struggle. And you could probably say the same thing for Vance Joseph in Denver. The Broncos defense has shown some weaknesses early on. But last week, look, 23 points to the Chargers. You should be winning that game. And on a walk-off field goal, they shouldn't have let them drive down the field. But they were not that bad at all against a good Chargers offense. They are still good, all right? And they bring a ton of pressure. Here's something crazy. The Broncos can bring 4, right? And get pressure on a quarterback at the highest clip in the league. And Browning last week was pressured 57% of his dropbacks. Do you understand how insane that is? Threw no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, completed 7 to 14 passes under pressure for 4.5 yards per attempt. Brutal, abysmal. So yeah, maybe this is the square side, and I'm willing to do that sometimes. I have no problem doing it if I think it's the right side. I don't care if we're betting with the public at times. Sometimes it's going to be right. I think the Broncos defense can punish the Bengals offensive line and subsequently Jake Browning. And if that happens to be the case, they win this one easily and get back on track and move to 2-2. Broncos -7. Appreciate you guys. As always, you're the best. Thank you for supporting this. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe before you go, and hit me up over on Tails. It's free. All of the bets all season long, not just me, but from everybody else, are free. And we'd love to have you over there. Join the community, build a platform, and win some stuff together. Until next time, bye-bye.